my friends. This week's project video, I'm using tons of product, and don't get overwhelmed. I will put links to every single thing with a description in the the little info underneath this YouTube video. But this is what we're going to do. I'm going to actually make a change on the one we're going to make together. I'm going to change the color of this window, but let's get started. The first thing I used was from our wood grain paper pack, and this is new in the catalog. Let me just show it to you real quick. You get all this wood grain beauty, and I love it. I love that. I have no use for this, but I love this. I will find something to use that on. So you get 2 of each of these. This is the one I'm using, so there's only one here. And then this one and the back. So this is a really cool paper pack we have in the catalog. It's just the wood grain pack. It's X8017. I've chose this piece because shiplap is huge. And I personally love shiplap. I'm trying to talk my husband into putting it into our cabin. He's more of a sheetrock and normal walls, plaster, not plaster. I don't know what it is. You know, I don't build, but that's what he wants to do. I'm begging for shiplap. So that's what I used. So the first thing I did was I cut a piece of that at 8.5 by 11. Let me get the rest of my goodies over here. And then I cut a piece of cardstock that we will use for our window. Now our window comes from the new thin cut die, and it's Z like zebra 3759. You'll see you can do just the window. I think that's called a dormer above it. Shutters. There's several different components. Let's see if you can see that to how you can arrange it. I am just using the window itself today. And if you watched my video last week, I said I was going to start using my Cuttlebug more. So that's what we're using. Not my Cuttlebug, my Sizzix. The problem is I use my Cuttlebug too much and I can't get dies for it, not dies, plates for it anymore. Someone told me Amazon, I looked and they didn't have the magnetic one I needed. So I'm using my Big Shot. So I'm just putting that on there. You could tape it. I don't tape it if it's just one little thing, and I don't care if it moves. So just gonna run that through. Gotta keep going. And then we have our window. I just use my Cricut tool to pop those out. I'm done with that. The next thing I need is another piece of white cardstock that we're going to stamp on. And this square, once it cuts, is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm just going to cut us a piece. And I just grab this out of my scraps. I always use my scraps when I can because I have a ton of them. Okay, I'm going to be using the Distress Oxide ink, so you're going to want your all-purpose mat because it will get all over your workstation and you don't want that. So the first thing I'm going to do on our piece of cardstock here, I'm going to put all this stuff over here so I don't lose it. I'm gonna use my anti-static pouch and I'm gonna just rub it all over this. This helps when you're heat embossing, which is what we're going to do with static and having misplaced embossing powder where you don't want it. So I'm using my Versamark. Oh, this is where I was saying I was using some discontinued product. I'm using the Spruced Up Scrapbooking Stamp and Thin Cut Set. I believe this was from Christmas last year, but you can use any scene you want. It's just something that you're gonna see out the window, like if you were in your cabin or your house, but use something you would see out the window. I'm gonna use the cabin and this little extra tree. So here's my cabin, and I'm gonna just stamp it with some Versamark. If you don't know what Versamark is, you use it for heat embossing, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. So I'm just gonna stick it on here. Now you're not gonna see it very well because it's clear. Can you see it at all? That's right. I don't know if you can see it. That's all right. You'll see it in a minute. And then I'm going to take, whoa, this little tree from the same stamp. I put the wrong thing away. And I'm going to stamp it right above the fence line that you probably cannot see, but I can. And I'm done with that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my little piece of scratch paper. Now I was told by somebody, and it was a fabulous idea, I just haven't done it yet because if I have to go shopping, and I didn't go shopping, to put some tin foil in a shoebox and do your embossing in that, and then you can just dump your powder right back in. It keeps it all contained. It's a great idea. But like I said, I don't have a shoebox, so I haven't done that yet. Just going to cover this in embossing powder. Make sure it gets it all. Can you see it now? Isn't that cute? And then I use the paper so I can line it all back up and easily dump it in to my powder. And I'm using the super fine white. I believe this is also it's a Ranger product because we're going to be using the Ranger Distress Oxides as well. So I have my heat tool here. I'm just going to heat this up so it sets the embossing powder. You'll see it turn. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but when it gets melted, it changes color and you'll be able to see it. Can you see it? It's really shiny. It gets a shiny gloss to it. And you don't want to burn your powder because then it's not so shiny. So I'm just holding it there until it turns, it melts, and gets all shiny. You see it now? It's all set. It's not going to come off. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm in love with these Distress Oxides. So I'm going to use the chipped sapphire, and I'm going to give it a kind of a nighttime sky kind of look to it. You hear my husband out there? He's cheering at the dogs. I don't know why. So I'm just going to kind of go in circles over it, and I don't want to go too dark, but if you do, it's okay. And don't worry about your design. because it's going to resist it. It's not going, the ink is not going to stay on there. So now that that's on there, I'm going to take a rag, and I always have a rag when I have my Distress Oxides out because they're messy. And I'm just going to rub it over my design, and the inks come right off. They kind of stay, they'll stay on your paper, but they're going to come off of where you embossed. And next, okay, we're going to spray it with some water to give it that distressed look. Not a whole lot. For me, I kind of was going for, you know, when your windows get frosty and you can't see perfectly well, clear them, or they'll, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but that's the look I was kind of going for. I hope you know what I'm talking about. So it looks kind of like snowflakes maybe. So I'm just drawing where I spritzed. And that's a little more blue than what I wanted, and I didn't have a lighter blue. So then I'm bringing in the pumice stone. And I'm just going to go right over the top of it, and it's going to totally lighten it up. And I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm just going to blend it in to the house area and the trees. So it maybe looks a little bit more of a nighttime sky behind it. So I'm just blending that in, going in a circular motion. Okay. I do not want those on my desk. And I'm going to again wipe it off of where I embossed. I'm going to spritz it again. And hit it with the heating tool to dry it. So if you're not familiar with the Distress Oxides, what they do is when you spritz them with the water, you get those little water spots, which for me, I'm hoping has a, like a snowy or a frosty window effect. So there we are done with those. I'm going to keep this here because I am going to do some more inking, but this time it's going to be in our regular exclusive inks, and I'm going to use another product. I'm using our November stamp of the month, where I'm going to stamp with wishing you a cozy holiday. If you're not familiar with the stamp of the month, you can get these, this whole stamp set, all of it, for $5 with any $50 order in the month of November only. We have a new one every single month, and this one is just, I don't know, makes me want Christmas, and we're not even ready for Thanksgiving yet. But that's me. So next I'm going to take my wood piece that I'm going to be using as my card front. I'm going to take one of these off, and I just have Velcro on the back of these, and they work really well. Let me get this out of the way. When I put them in this tin that holds the Distress Oxides, because they can fit in there, and there's room between each one, and the ink pads don't touch each other. I might as well put this one away while I'm here. I got this on scrapbook.com. I can share a link for it. You'll see it holds 3 more. I don't have all of our Close to My Heart ones yet. And in fact, I think I'm missing 2 or maybe 3, so they'll fit in there when I get them. So I'm taking our cinnamon ink, and what I'm going to do with this is just distress the edges a little bit. I felt like this wood had a kind of a reddish undertone to it, so that's why I went with this cinnamon. It wasn't too bright, but it was still kind of dark like the wood. So now that piece is done, and the next piece I'm going to do, this is where I said I was going to do it a little different on this one than the one I just did. I'm going to do cinnamon on our window frame. And it's going to give it that kind of wood grain feel to it because of the felt or sponge or whatever this thing is. Gives it a little weathered look as well. And I am totally fine with having different shades of it because wood is not all the same. Okay. And I should have moved that before I inked. That's okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to stamp our cinnamon on here. I'm also doing that in the cinnamon ink. And like I said, it says, wishing you a cozy holiday. I'm doing that in the cinnamon ink as well. Right down at the bottom. The next thing I need to do is put our little snow scene on here. So I'm just going to use some adhesive. Any adhesive you have will work. And when this is dry, it's dry, you guys. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to just kind of center that over it. Not too close to the top, but not right on top of our words. And then I'm going to take some of the 3D foam tape. Well, let's see. You know, I'm not going to 3D foam tape this one. I 3D foam taped this one. I'm going to do this one flat, and we will see which one we like better. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on here. If you choose to 3D foam tape it, you do not have to cover every square inch with foam tape. You see, I've got spaces. I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little squares, and it works just fine. So you don't need to cover every inch of it in foam tape. I mean, I'm happy to sell you foam tape, but you end up using way more than you need. And then you just center it on here. And somewhere around here I have some card bases. There they are. No, they're not. I had them out, and then I got everything else out. So they're buried somewhere. Let me grab another. Oh, here's one. Then you're just going to stick this on your card front. stick the other one on one. And then we can vote. And you can tell me which one you like best. With foam tape, without foam tape, which color. If you're wondering, this was the Tattered Rose Distress Oxide. I just didn't spritz it. So there's the first one with the Tattered Rose, and this one is all in cinnamon. So tell me in your comments which one you like best. I will put links to everything, like I said, in the video description below. If you like this project video, I post them every week. I would be honored if you would click subscribe, and then you will get notified every week when I post a new video. Sometimes it's rare. I'll post more than one video in a week, but not very often. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at ToriB, Toribe. My Facebook group is Lori Cooch, Close to My Heart Maker. That's also my page, and there'll be links to all of my social channels in the description below as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love your feedback. Have a good evening.